The 2022 New York Jets season is upon us. What is going to happen? Well, I'm going to make my predictions for you right now. And welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I am Watch2K99. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with a friend. I appreciate it very much. So, we are on the brink of the 2022 NFL season. As I record, the first game is less than 36 hours away, Bills versus Rams. But as Jets fans, we're going to be focused on Sunday, September 11th, 1 p.m., MetLife Stadium, Jets versus Ravens. But before we get into that specific game, I want to talk about the Jets from a bigger picture, and I wanted to share some predictions that I have for the season. Some of these will be pretty bold. Some of these will surprise you. But you know what? It'd be very easy for me to say something like, well, Zach Wilson will have the most passing yards or something like that. I wanted to have some bolder takes along with a season record prediction. And then what we're going to do is, well, we'll talk about the future later on in the video. But for right now, I'm going to do some offense predictions, some defense predictions. I'm even going to do some special teams predictions because I can't leave out special teams. And then we'll talk about the overall season record and just some random odds and ends here. So let's get into the offense. I predict, first of all, I'm not going to talk about a specific player. I think our base formation is going to be the 12. One running back, two tight ends. I think you're going to see that look extensively. I think you're going to see a lot of Ty Conklin, a lot of C.J. Uzomah, and as the season progresses, a good amount of Jeremy Ruckert, and at certain times you might even see Lawrence Cager. There's a reason this team kept 4 tight ends. Not too many other teams in the league are doing, very few other teams in the league are doing that. So last year, the Miami Dolphins ran over 2/3 of their plays from the 12 formation. Nobody else in the league, I believe, was above 30%. The Jets were around 26, I think, especially towards the, but it was a lot more so in the beginning of the year. And then Mike LaFleur figured out he didn't really have the tight ends to run that formation. I think the Jets are going to be around 50%, about 45 to 50% with the 12, especially first and second down. Third down, you can play with it a little bit more, but I'm going to say a lot of 12 formation. I predict, and this is going to shock a few people, the Jets' leading receiving touchdown getter will be Coreydavis. I'm not saying he's going to have the most receptions. I'm not even going to say he's going to have the most yards. But I think Elijah Moore will have a lot of big plays. Garrett Wilson will have a lot of plays when he's on the field. I don't know if he's going to get as much time early on in the beginning of the season. I think at first you're starting with Coreydavis, with Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios as your 3 receivers, and Wilson will have to earn his way in. They're not just going to give this kid playing time. And I think when you get down deep, Zach Wilson really has that connection with Coreydavis that really works. Now, I don't want him to get stuck on one receiver like he did a lot of times last year, but I think when Davis is down in the red zone, Wilson is going to look to him first. So I'm going to say Coreydavis is going to lead the Jets in receiving touchdowns. I think he's going to have 8, and I think that is going to be a high for Jets receiving touchdowns. I predict that Denzel Mims will score his first touchdown as a Jet, but that will be the only touchdown that he has as a New York Jet this season. I do believe he'll stick out the season. I don't think he's going to get traded. I don't even think he's going to have that spectacular of a year. But I think there's going to be one game when everything comes together just right, and Denzel Mims finally pops his touchdown cherry in the NFL and gives the Jets 6 points. I predict that Zach Wilson, I don't want to get into too many specific stats, but I will here. I predict Zach Wilson will play 15 games, and in those 15 games, he will throw for 3,420 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. I do think we will start to see that Zach Wilson can be a legitimate starting quarterback that can be trusted. It's going to shock a few people. It's going to be exactly what some people expected. I don't believe he will play week 1, though. I think he'll return for week 2, and I think there'll be one other game in there that he'll miss as well. So that's my Zach Wilson prediction. One more offensive prediction. I predict that Elijah Vera Tucker will be the other offense, the Jet on offense, to take that step forward. I'm not thinking Pro Bowl yet because, a guard in a Pro Bowl, that's typically going to go to the best teams. That's going to go to the Buffaloes, to the Kansas Cities, to those types of players. Tennessee even, Baltimore. But I don't think that he has the notoriety around the league yet where that's going to happen for him just yet. But I do think this is going to be the time when the Daniel Jeremiahs, the Peter Kings, these types of guys are talking about Elijah Vera Tucker, and his name starts to really emerge throughout the national landscape. All right, defense predictions. Let's flip it over. I predict the Jets will total 45 sacks this season. 45. That's about 2.5 a game, or right around that area, a little bit more, about 2 3/4 a game. The only reason why I think it won't even be higher than that is that I think a lot of these teams are going to run the ball when they can and throw screens when they can. They're going to do what they can to just avoid dropping back when possible. Because I think they're going to start to fear the Jets' pass rush because it is going to emerge this season, finally, and they're going to have to look for ways around it. So I'm going to go 45 sacks. Now, as far as the leading sack getters, I predict the top 3 Jets sack getters will be, in order, Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, and John Franklin Myers. Those are going to be 1, 2, and 3. Won't go into specific numbers on that, but I think that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. I think Quinnen Williams is going to have his best season yet. And the way that the Jets really rotate these defensive linemen, they really no defensive lineman last year played more than 2/3 of the snaps at one time. Maybe Carl Lawson will be the exception. It's very possible. But Lawson, I think, is the type who will get the initial pressure, and then somebody else like a Quinnen Williams will be the finisher. I think it's going to be that type of situation. But you are definitely going to notice Carl Lawson. I'm so excited to see number 58 on the field. I do predict the Jets will finish in the bottom 5 in rushing yards against this season. I am very concerned about the linebacking core. I'm concerned about the safety core. And I think this is where the opponent is going to say, make them stop it. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, especially with some of these running backs that the Jets are going to see this year. You have to see Dalvin Cook. You have to see the combination of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, who I like a lot. I'm a very big Dillon supporter. And, these AFC North teams, a lot of them are run-focused. You have Joe Mixon. You have Najee Harris, especially the Browns without Deshaun Watson. It's going to be Nick Chubb. It's going to be Kareem Hunt. It's going to be a run-focused team. Baltimore, need I say more? Between Lamar Jackson, you may not have J.K. Dobbins, but they just signed Kenyon Drake. I think that Ravens offensive line can make a lot of running backs look very good. So I'm very concerned about the run defense. I also predict the Jets will sign a safety during the course of the season. I think it will be Jaquiski Tart. We've talked about him on previous videos here. I think that the Jets are going to try Ashton Davis. They're going to try LaMarcus Joyner. They're going to try Tony Adams. They're going to try whoever else they could find. At the end of the day, I just don't have the confidence that they have the safety on this roster they want. I think they're going to rue the decision to cut Jason Pinnock. I really think they're going to. I do predict that on defense, the Jets will finally get some Pro Bowlers. Feels like it's been a while since we've had a Jet in a Pro Bowl. Think, Braxton Berrios made All-Pro last year, but he didn't make the Pro Bowl. It's just insane. So I believe those 2 Pro Bowlers will be saucegardner and Carl Lawson. Those will be the Jets' 2 Pro Bowlers this season. Not that Gardner's going to have a lot of gaudy interception numbers, but people are going to know how good he is because he's not going to get tested all that frequently. And I think Carl Lawson's going to have a lot of tackles for loss. I could see him forcing a couple of fumbles. I think he's really going to be the soul of the defense. So that's my prediction for defense. Special teams, I predict that Greg Zuerlein will make 32 of 37 field goals. Right around that low to mid 80s percentage is kind of where he's been the last couple of years. He's not going to make all his kicks, but I think he will make the kicks he needs to, and I think he's going to have 2 walk-off field goals. I think the Jets are going to be in a lot of close games this season. Zuerlein's going to have a chance to win a game or 2, and I think he's going to win 2 games on the final play of the game, whether fourth quarter or overtime. I predict that Braxton Berrios will not have a touchdown this season on special teams. Might have a couple of good returns. I don't know if the special teams are going to be as good this year. That's something that we have to see. They cut quite a few of their special team stalwarts, still Sean Phillips being one of them. Nick Bawden is out for the season. I believe that is going to hurt. So I'm going to say that Berrios does not have a touchdown this season. All right, now a few general predictions here. The biggest surprise player for me is going to be Jamien Sherwood. He did not need to start the season on the PUP list, coming back from his torn Achilles. I think he's going to emerge as a leader and maybe even take a little time away from C.J. Mosley. If C.J. Mosley were to go down, I would not be too worried about it because I think Sherwood could step in, and I did not feel that way at all last season. I thought Mosley was practically indispensable because the linebacking core was just so weak. Surprise disappointment, I'm going to go Jermaine Johnson. And I think it's going to be mainly because of 2 things. He's not going to get the sack numbers that a lot of people would be projecting for a first-round defensive end. But also, he'll be rotated so much, I think that other players like Bryce Huff, like Jacob Martin, like Michael Clemens, are going to kind of limit his time. But I do think you're going to see Johnson a little bit more on the field on first and second down on those run plays because he actually does play the run pretty well. But if you're looking for pretty stats from Jermaine Johnson, I don't think that's going to happen as much. The biggest upset win of the year, you know what? I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but I am going to predict the Jets are going to beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. The Packers are going to be coming off that London trip. I think that could be a little bit of a hang-up for them. And also, I think their defense, the Jets' defense, is going to be a bad matchup for the Packers. They can pin their ears back against Aaron Rodgers and attack him. The cornerbacks can lock down the wide receivers. And they could try Jones and Dillon as running backs, but at the end of the day, that offense is all about Aaron Rodgers. And I believe that the Jets, with this pass rush, can tee off on him, create some big plays, create some short fields for this offense, and pull off the upset victory in Green Bay. The surprise loss of the season, I don't know how many games there would be that we could consider a surprise loss. I mean, the Jets will probably only be favored in maybe 2-3 games all year as it stands right now. But I think they're going to have a pretty disappointing loss in Seattle again. Even with Drew Lock, I don't know. Every time when the Jets have you thinking that they're in contention, they lose a big game to a team that is not that good. It was really Seattle or Jacksonville to me, and I think they're going to knock off Jacksonville. So I'm not necessarily predicting Seattle is going to beat the Jets, but if I could see one place where the Jets would get tripped up, it would be the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think they're losing to the Bears, and I can't believe I'm saying that. The Jets haven't beaten the Bears since the year 2000. But I think the Jets will beat the Bears. They'll beat the Jaguars. Outside of that, there aren't a whole lot of teams that you could consider them be an upset. So I'm going to say Seattle next to last week is probably going to kind of drop the curtain on the Jets season. And then finally, let's talk about record. I think going into the bye, the Jets are going to be 3-6. I think 4-5 is what I'm hoping for. At least 4-5, 5-4, I would be very happy with. 4-5, I could take. But I'm going to say 3-6. I think it's going to be a rough start. I think it's going to take a game or 2 for Zach Wilson to get his feel back, for this offensive line to gel together. That does concern me. And I'm only going to say 3-6. But I will say the Jets will make a good rally towards the end of the year. I think they'll get a good winning streak going. And I think they're going to have a final record of 7-10. They'll be a little bit outside the playoffs. I think going into that Seattle game, they'll be in the hunt. You could go to the playoff scenario generators on Yahoo and ESPN and come up with some sort of concoction on how they can sneak their way in. But it would take them beating Seattle. I think it's Miami, the last game of the season, I believe. Pardon me, I believe it's Miami, where they would have to win those 2 games in order to qualify, plus a bunch of other things would have to happen. I just don't see that it's going to work out quite as well as we want it to in such a loaded conference. But 3-win improvement from last year is a step up. so we can go with that. We can go with that. Take that how you will. So that is my season predictions. Now, as far as what's coming up, I am going to do, it looks like on Thursdays, I want to do 5 bold predictions for each game. And then the day after the game, typically Monday, I'm going to recap the 3 plays that you may not remember or that may not stand out that impacted the outcome of the game. I want to give you some unique content. I don't mind putting myself out there and taking some chances, saying some bold stuff, because, where's the fun in just saying, yeah, Justin Tucker will make all his field goals for the Ravens this week, right? So that's what we're going to do. I will be taking some video of the my experience of the game day week 1, Jets versus Ravens. Should be fun. Never know what might be going on, but the Virginia Jets fans are always a lot of fun. So I'm sure they're going to have a great time. So hey, let me know your predictions. What are your thoughts on the Jets season record? Do you have any bold predictions for offense, defense, special teams? Any individual player, breakout players, potential disappointments, possible trap games, if there's such a thing as a trap game with the Jets, or a possible upset. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you so much again for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you again with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.